one thing about it.
I know that Commissioner Scales has a new item of new business.
I had two.
2 items of new business. Steve has 3 items right-of-way agreements coming through. Did any other commissioners have any?
I don't think it's something.
Sir?
You know what, I may, just to discuss, and you know I hate doing that.
I know you do. I know you do.
Well, that's why I try not to do too many, but I need to let you know. That's my motion. That's my motion. I'll put it, want me to write it in there?
All right, good morning, everyone. Apologize for being a minute too late. Another beautiful day. All the business that we came to, and we have moved forward. Mr. Mark, would you leave my word first?
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for being sovereign. We just pray you forgive us of our pride, our ego, all of our sins, Lord. We're sinful, but we count on Jesus Christ to save us. Just help us to live that way and glorify you in Jefferson County. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, we have 1 item of new business, 2 items of new business, 3 items of new business. That's 5, 6 items of new business. Joe, you got it?
No, Jenna said, I see you want, I got one ready myself.
All right, so as we begin, we need a motion to consider 7 items of new business.
Could we hear about what they are first before we take that up?
Sure.
The first is the one that I've given you about 7 bus shelters, BJCTA. It is already gone through the system. The second is this other document that I gave you as relates to, it's a public safety need that's almost emergency for Forestdale. There it is right there. And it's for 12 cameras, and that's the one that I gave you right there. The sheriff is in Washington, but he has agreed to make sure that he signs the contract as soon as possible. So it's an intergovernmental type of transfer of funds in order to be able to pay for these cameras. That's it.
So there's 2, you have just right away agreement.
These are payments that's been through the system. Brand got them to us yesterday. Since the time since that we'd like to get them on. So
I mean,
nobody got that.
3?
There's 3. They're all on Belleville Road, right away.
Okay.
Have a last minute thing, so you guys know I hate doing this, but there is an opportunity that by this Friday they need to have some acknowledgement that the commission could be supportive. This is an event that the World Police and Fire Games crew that's been put in place, they were approached about this, and it's the transplant games. It's for folks that have received or donated, and they participate in athletic games that would be in Birmingham for competition. And the reason is it's for 2024, so it would be next summer. And I can get into more detail here after when for discussion.
Okay, so that's probably basically good.
Mostly it's the support from UAB, Medical Properties Trust, Southern Research, all those that where they do transplants and everything associated after with care. It'd be a great support mechanism for bio and life sciences.
Consideration of 6 items of new business. Do we have a motion?
Move the items.
Second.
We have a motion and second for consideration of each one. So, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's begin with the agenda with the inclusion of our 6 items.
Okay.
Move
What'd
on.
you say?
Move on to the agenda, add those to the agenda for each commission.
All right, so for Public Works, Community Services, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee, we have no items for Board of Equalization. Under Environmental Services, we have 6 items, and I don't know, David, would you like to speak to those items? And do we have any commissioner that has any questions that relates to items that
I'll
are
move items 1
proposed?
through 6.
I'll second, but I have a question. How, on item 1, these aging sewer pump stations, number 1, how old are these? And number 2, what's the average life of these?
So, I don't recall how old the patent 1 and 2 are. I think they're probably about 25, 30 years old. But what we've done for all of our pump stations is we did a study of all 170, 180 pump stations about 5 years ago that went through and did a detailed assessment of everything and then ranked all of them by what needed to be done. So we've got, we prioritized all the pump stations, all the work we've done, and working through the oldest, the worst ones, the least reliable ones first. So patent 1 and 2 came up on that list. There's also some issues with overflows in that area, in that service area. So this addresses, both the mechanical issues and provides some capacity so we don't have any overflow issues associated with it.
And item number 6, the Valley Creek clarifier rehabilitation framework. Give me what that is.
So, yeah, and there's nothing exciting about it either. It's replacing aging equipment. It's old concrete, metal that needs to be refurbished, conveyors that are 25 years old that need to be replaced. So it's just old stuff, nothing fun about it. Just to give you some background on this, we put this out for bid last year, or actually in 21. We got no bids for it. Put it out again this past end of last year, and we got 1 bidder, Brasco and Boris. We negotiated with that for Alabama law. We reduced it by several $100,000, but we feel like with all what's going on and the reliability and everything else, we can move forward with this. And just to let you know, we're tracking our costs, construction costs all over the place. So we basically got a running total of what's up, what's down, and if we're very mindful of where we are on the cash flow side, and all our finance and everything else to make sure that we're under that. So if we've got something that's above that, we're taking something else off just to manage that. So.
Well, I noticed we have a lot of maintenance, refurbishing like this. I see very little expansion. Are we doing any expansions to areas to pick up this?
Not in the collection system, because we've got a policy that limits us on our ability to just pay for straight up expansions. We are adding some capacity, for instance, while we're doing some work like the McCalla pump stations that Sir Jeff met, and that was, we were able to sort of be out ahead of Smuckers by looking at what the needs were. And while we're doing that work that needs to be done, we're adding additional capacity. So we were able to basically time Smuckers so that we're ahead of when they need it. So we're looking at all of those growth areas, and if we're doing regular maintenance and everything else, we're making sure we account for the capacity out there too.
But the policy that no expansion, that like set in stone.
I think
You said it's our policy. But
it is for us, but I think the commission obviously has some leeway. You're the one that's your policy. So yeah, I will say we don't have money budgeted for that, and we would have to go through that kind of process of how we want to handle the money part of it. So.
That's a policy that comes out through the ranker.
No, this goes back to the with the Upper River Super Sewer in 2005, so it goes way back.
You go back up.
Yeah, not further than me, but I remember, yeah, it's a lot, it's been out there a long time, so I think it's definitely worth revisiting, and we've taken some steps to look at that.
Do we have any other questions? Seeing none, we have a mover and a second. All those in favor, let it be known for items 1 through 6. Let it be known by saying aye. Under general retirement, we have no items. Human resources, we have a total of 2 items. One is dealing with the Kronos upgrade for human resources. The second is for the Deputy Director of Roads and Transportation. Do we have any questions as relates to those 2 items?
I'll move 1 and 2, but I do have a question.
All right, got a mover and a second. Go ahead, Joe.
The UK Cronus upgrade, this is for $810,000 for 1 year. Is this going to be a perpetual cost each year of that amount?
No, sir, this is a one-time major upgrade. They kind of had us on a server-based system. All of their program now is going to be cloud-based, and so we have to get transition to the cloud-based. This does that and opens us up for some much better technology to track employees, performance management, that kind of thing. So this is our implementation of a one-time thing.
Well, Kronos isn't that old, is it?
It's about 5 years old, and yeah, the thing is, you know, kind of like we were at the county, they're just going to stop maintaining the server-based system about the end of this year, so the only other options were to go to a different system, and the cost to implement a whole new system would have been a whole lot more. So
We need to move as much stuff to the cloud as we possibly can and not maintain servers and equipment and everything else, which I think we're doing with DC Blocks.
Yeah, well, we used to do a backup, though. We had an off-campus backup.
And Ms. Reed's done a tremendous job with that. We got off-campus backup in 2 different places, so we're in good shape.
So it would be difficult to hijack and hold it around.
So there's specific, one of our agreements is specific to making sure that there's ransomware, that we're protected against it, because now we have backups to our backups. So there are multiple redundancies for multiple systems.
We appreciate y'all's investment in that. It took a long time, but we got a great, as good as you can get system. Thank y'all.
But you never have to use it.
Any other questions? Seeing none for items 1 and 2, we have a mover and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All right, under Personnel Board, we have 2 items. One is the Falls Facility Services. All right. All right, is that 1 and 2 we're moving?
1 and 2.
All right, absolutely, okay. So we got mover and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. All right, then we have for District 1 of the business, we have a total of actually, I want to make sure that I got everything. So we have a total of 5 items, but there's 3 here. The first is about Fairfield Board of Education in support of the school system of Fairfield. Second is UNCF, which is a fellowship program. The third, which Heather is not here, my understanding, is she on vacation? Oh, where is she? Okay, Heather's here. All right. And so Commissioner Knight and I went over to Midfield. They just received through community development a truck, but the road itself, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, that particular road has some major problems with it, and public safety uses it. So nevertheless, the city has agreed. Did they have their meeting yesterday?
Commissioner,
It's next week.
It's next Monday. He told us it'd be this Monday, so I recommend y'all approve.
But it's already got a contingency here.
Yeah, after we see it, that'll save us time.
Okay, very good. And so the city of Midfield is putting up $54,000 and some change, and then our office is supporting them with $100,000 to get that road fixed, since our folk have identified that. Also, this is going through the system. This is 7 bus shelters through BJCTA, And so I knew we had some difficulty with the system on last week, but I wanted to make sure I brought that to our attention as well. And if you'll see, if you refer to this document, the amount of that, because they did an 80-20 percentage, and so it ended up being like $22,000 for those particular shelters. Lastly, for Forestdale, which is unincorporated Jefferson County, if you refer to this one-page document, went to their neighborhood meeting. The sheriff deputies indicated that they have no way to be able to respond to the citizens in that area properly because they do not have cameras to direct where shootings and different crimes are occurring. And so we got this. The sheriff is in Washington. Obviously, his office is here represented today. But nevertheless, it was $43,200. We agreed to go ahead and do that so that they can ramp up their patrol efforts out there. 3 of those cameras will be able to allow for where you can have the imagery for tags and so forth so that they can do more enforcement in that area, that when these vehicles are identified, that they can be able to get those crimes solved over there a lot faster. Also, you have 9 cameras, and then you have the models. You have the amount for each one, and then obviously your total came to $43,200. And so the sheriff has agreed, because this will be an internal transfer to his department to pay for this. And then they have, in terms of the department, a company that they use to install.
What's PTZ?
Plain Tilton.
You want to ask them? They right behind you.
Plain Tilton.
Pam Tilton's husband.
Okay.
Oh, the same ones that I have in Bessemer.
Okay. But it's Flock.
Yeah.
All right, question I've got, and ongoing cost. These cameras gonna be here next year and the year after, are y'all assuming the cost moving forward?
I don't know, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
We need to know.
So as I understand it, great question. So as I understand it, is that this will be connected to the MAC Center. And so because of that, the Sheriff's Department, there is, as I understand it, not a maintenance, it's the connectivity. So we needed to make sure that we first of all got the cameras.
You're leasing to us, you're not buying.
Well, okay, well then lease, but it was my understanding buy, but that's okay.
Not familiar with the
You said
I'm
buy?
sorry.
You said buy? Because I was about to say, that's what was.
We bought ours, so I don't know about those.
Yeah, but that's what.
We purchased the ones we have invested.
And who's doing the maintenance on it? Who, when someone knocks them down, what they doing? Where's that cost from?
So here's what we can do. I can find out that information from the sheriff and his staff.
Yeah, right, it would be Commissioner Green who would know, I'm sure.
Right, because what I understand is that Forestdale has never had any. And when we went to the neighborhood meeting, that's what came up. So even about illegal dumping and some of the other things that are happening out there, they don't have anything, but obviously they don't have a city. So they have to depend on us. What I agreed to do is to work with the sheriff's office to make sure that the cameras that the lieutenant indicated that they needed to be able to have them provided. And I will say this, even in subsequent times, which is what I've done out there in Forestdale for Holiday Hills, I am willing to pay for the maintenance of them if that is required. But it is my understanding that it will be connected directly through the Sheriff's Department, through their MAC Center. And so there was no maintenance or whatever that was required.
You just come up with the understanding, and I know that right now we're flush with cash because of the COVID. But when next year, when all this money's gone, we're going to be back to our normal budget process, and those type maintenance dollars are not going to be there.
Right.
So,
Well, the reason why I brought up about Holiday Hills is because I've worked with the county manager's office. that all of the perpetual maintenance of that park, we've been paying for it out of our district funds. So this, to me, would be no different, that if required, and that's, yeah, and that's before we had any kind of federal dollars to support, that we would be willing to do it, because again, they have no other resource than us.
I just, as we move forward, I just
Sure.
wanted everyone to be aware that it didn't come up next year and we're back to our normal budgeting process and we don't have this large amount of money that we have a big uh-oh on.
Sure.
And for the future, if there are other flock cameras that need to go in other places, certainly there should be some bulk pricing and reduction in maintenance or service.
So that is my understanding too, is that being that there are other cameras that have been purchased through the sheriff's department for this purpose, is the reason why they're able to get these at the price that they have.
But it should be like a pack of things.
Yeah, well, but I'm saying that's why you're getting the bulk rate.
Right.
Because the sheriff's office has indicated to us that this is something that they're providing countywide. And because of that, that's the reason why you have like $4,200 for the 3 cameras, and then you have $3,400 for the others. But again, when it comes to the maintenance, we will make sure that that is understood.
So I'll move your bus shelters, and then for the cameras, I'll move it pending just further information that you're going to get from the sheriff's
Oh,
department.
absolutely, so we'll have it by Thursday.
Yeah, we should be able to get that. If I can speak real quick, we
Sure.
have used it.
You want to say who you are?
I'm just, yes, I'm Wayne Rogers, Executive Assistant Sheriff, and he's in Washington DC this week. The one thing I can say, Commander Green handles these cameras. I just know that I'm familiar with 2 situations in the past 6 months. One where we solved a murder in Bessemer using these cameras, and one where we solved a murder in Centerpoint using these cameras. So they are quite valuable in law enforcement.
Yeah, well, I think we're probably going to end up coming back about Centerpoint, because Centerpoint obviously depends on the sheriff's department, because they don't have their own police department.
That's right.
Yeah.
Second.
Yes, sir. No, but we got
You got a motion?
You say. All right, so items 1 through 3 and 2 items of new business, so that makes a total of 5. All 5 items have been moved and properly seconded, and thank you, everyone. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Oh, hold on. Oh, okay, that's it. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. We have 4 items this
Oh, I'm
morning.
sorry. You go ahead, and then I'll do y'all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we have 4 items this morning. The first one is for Ms. Katie Burt. This is an amendment to the note resolution. We made a home loan assistance loan to her, and she's just agreeing to pay that note off up through 2029. Number 2 is on the resolution authorizing the approval and award and execution of a contract to Costin General Contractors for the Kimberly Senior Center in the amount of $426,209. Number 3 is a resolution authorizing the execution and contract with UAB for a treatment court program for a total of $1,474,556 over a 3-year period. And number 4 is a resolution authorizing us to apply on behalf of UAB for a recovery support service grant.
I'll move.
Second.
Or whatever it is.
Second.
I have a
1
statement,
through 4.
a statement and a question. On number 2, thank you, Kimberly Senior Citizen Center. That's kind of been a long time coming.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item 3 on the UAB grant, this is subject to the DOJ's annual renewal and funding of the award, but what if the feds do not fund it?
Then nothing happens.
Well, I mean, will they look to the county?
No,
Okay. Is there a match for the federal funding?
no, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Hamilton, on the repair program, is this countywide?
You talking about the ARPA funding? No, sir. It is countywide. We can use that. It's not limited like CDBG to our consortium, but most of the requests that we have been coming has mirrored our CDBG
But we
program.
can use it where we can.
That's correct.
What?
She's talking about the ARPA funds.
Got to have a first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have Laura from Cooper Green and Mercy Health Services with a presentation.
And she has a conflict with it.
Not that she can, that by herself.
I'm the second kid.
Okay, good morning. Yes, David Reno and I are here representing the authority. And we have two things that are on our, three things really on our objectives. If you don't mind going next one. The first one is we're asking for your approval. It's a little messy here, but we have two logos, okay, that we have narrowed down on for the new branding and new logo. And then we have a general operations update. We want to take that opportunity to just catch you up. And then also a new building update. Okay, so for the logos, what we have done is we did get some feedback that it might be time to refresh. So we had 4 focus groups brought together, led by a facilitator. Those are the groups that you see up there. They were given, extensive questioning around multiple logos. In fact, I think we started off with more than 40, and we narrowed it down to, 5 or 6 that went in front of these focus groups. And then narrowed it down to 3, right, after the steering committee had a look at them. So the findings on the right are the things that came out clearly and what we used to then draft the logos that we ended up with. Okay, on the next slide, you'll see those two. And what we're asking today is just to take a look at these two. We also have a picture next of how they, a rendering of how they might look on a new building. And we're asking for your approval to present both of these to our staff for a vote. We don't want to do that without your approval in case they pick one you don't like, right? So we would like for you to be okay with both of them so we can put it together, send out a survey and get their vote on one over the other. Mostly to give them some buy-in and also just some say in where they're going to work every day. So these are the two logos. The next two slides, if you don't mind forwarding them, this is not done in CAD, so it's not perfect. These etchings on the side of the building will actually be more kind of the same color as the rest of the building. They'll be more like etchings instead of a picture, but this is an idea of what it might look like on the new building. And there's the other one on the new building. So that's our first question. Is there any questions about these two? Any objections to these two? Anything else we can do or need to do before we put that forward?
I'm fine as long as they choose them too.
Oh, very helpful.
I like one.
I like it, everyone else like it.
I just want to be different.
One.
You always just.
Hey man, did I see a Chinese balloon in that picture?
Hardly like it. Don't look like a hospital. That's what you want to see.
Go back to the other. Maybe it looks like a jet taking off, I'm not sure.
Probably recognize too that this is very similar to our current one. This first one is. I mind going back one more to see them beside each other too.
Beside each other?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And we're dropping, I saw where you were dropping part of the services authority
Yes, sir.
or something.
The rest of the legal name would have services authority on the end of that.
Uh-huh.
And there's no reason to have that in the logo. Our feedback from the groups was that it sounded less like a place that you would come for healthcare and more like a business. So we felt it best just to drop that altogether.
And
Which one?
Services Authority. So our real legal name is Cooper Green Mercy Health Services Authority. And they really felt strongly about authority sounding like a business. So we dropped Services Authority altogether.
I guess what I see, I don't see any affiliation with the county. And, is that by design or is that by mission?
No, I don't think it was
I don't think
any
it ever
intention
is.
at all. It's just part of the legal name.
It was Mercy Hospital and Mercy.
It's never been there. All that was discussed.
And I guess that's why we're keeping Mercy is because that was part of the original.
Yeah, and neither did UAB. It's never been there till now. But they're doing it now. Maybe a little nickel over on the side somewhere.
Hey, you need to have something on the counter.
And affiliates of, in partnership with Jefferson County
Yeah,
Commission.
absolutely.
You know,
You use
well,
all
many
the
times,
fund.
we're giving y'all $70 million.
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
Yeah, this is, if I can, I apologize. So David Randall, with the health system, also, Cooper Green. The affiliate of the UAB health system is similar to all of our other affiliations, so with Midwest and with Baptist in Montgomery. So hence, given the structure that's in place, that's why that tagline is there. Again, part of the legal, but also part of the organizational affiliation itself. And I will say, in the focus groups, and when we talk about the original affiliation that we had in partnership with the county, the UAB name had a lot of added credibility in terms of the market and the provision of services. So we thought that was still very important, regardless of the legal considerations, to have UAB as part in association with services that are being delivered at Cooper Green.
Is there any
You never did answer, but
any reason we couldn't have,
It'd be a mouthful, but it wouldn't quite roll off your tongue. And again, we're trying to get something that we can get on the signage that isn't overwhelming.
So why can we utilize the county's logo?
I think we should put it in.
Not as the main one, just.
Not
as
as
a
the
little
main,
flow.
like at the bottom part.
That's the county's logo.
I don't care, I'm just saying, we're not replacing these logos over here on the left.
no,
We're sticking.
I just think
You need to have the county.
that you wouldn't be here without the money.
That's right.
And we wouldn't be here without you. And when I see that, I see you, but I don't see anything about others.
That's right.
So to be perfectly fair and honest, how about including us somewhere? And you bring it back to us for approval at a later date.
And we can take it back to the creative and see how we can
Sure.
incorporate that. Okay.
And I'll offer you some suggestions in terms of where you can put it. No, I'm just saying, I mean, because
I already had suggested.
Well, and I didn't help you, so.
Well, I had suggested.
and most people read from left to right, so, I mean, the first thing I thought was that you put that logo in front of the word affiliate, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't take away from UAB, and if you're reading from left to right, it gives a clear indication that the county is spearheading this Cooper Green Mercy project, and the affiliation with UAB Health System is a phrase that stands on its own.
Yeah, what we'll probably end up doing is talking to our creative agency, and again, they know visually what would make a lot of sense, what we'll capture, and again, we could bring back some options, but I appreciate, absolutely. There's another-
And as a matter of fact,
This is one on the side of the building, right?
On the side of the building would just be the actual logo, but when you saw the entrance, I don't know if we can go to the rendering again, if you look at the entrance of the building, you can see right at the bottom,
Yeah.
so it gets smaller and smaller, so I'm saying, there's a lot of verbiage there.
Nipple up there, it would be on.
But I think the other thing too would be throughout the building, we want to make sure that we're consistent too in our side.
And
So,
if you
wait
do
for it,
that,
yep.
It
Okay.
You see
Just
that
give us-
like I told you.
We're equal partners in this. And we wouldn't be here without you, you wouldn't be here without us.
Sure, absolutely.
So all we ask for is as an affiliate of UAB in cooperation or in conjunction or in cooperation with Jefferson County.
Y'all can just add another floor and put all
so
that
let me
on.
let me ask this question too. You have the raw files of this, I'm sure, right?
I'm not sure if we've got the CAD files, do we?
We don't have CAD, but we have like PDFs.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you can get me the PDFs. If I'm hearing you clearly, you have one logo that you're speaking of that will go to the other item we just saw, and then you have one that's for that Cooper Green component, right? Okay, because immediately, this is first blush, and then I'm gonna be quiet, and then if you give me the files, then I'll put something together just for you all to look at with the commission. First thing I would think is Cooper Green, and then you have the county logo, and then you got Mercy Health. I mean, and then you can leave UAB again as a standalone. You know what I mean? It's not hard.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at some absolute.
But if you don't mind, if I can get those files from her, then we can make some suggestions, at least to the commission, for everybody to review.
Okay, the next one is our just general update. Okay, so our payer mix is a big indicator for us. 52% of our patients are Jefferson County, which means the Health First program or the subsidized program. 48% are insured. Just a couple of things that will probably affect that. Our rehabilitation therapy services is in licensing phase right now. So our rehab facility has not in the past been licensed to provide services that are reimbursable. So no problem with providing them, but we cannot bill for them. So that's going to be a change. Our pharmacy credentialing contracts are in processes now as well. We've only been able to bill one insurance traditionally, and now we're going to be adding more. And then we're also moving to coding that's done by a vendor as opposed to our physicians trying to do the coding. All those things will help us basically be able to expand to other insurance markets. Some of those plans that are really good about quality measures and whatnot, we'll be able to branch out into those some more. Okay, the next one is just to look at our visits.
Hang on, go back to the other one. What's that, explain the pie chart? What is, I can't read that.
It is small. Those are our different insurers and then Jefferson County. So on the right-hand side, almost all of those from the very top, that really small orange line to the lighter gray on the bottom are Jefferson County patients. They fall into different pay codes. So depending on your degree of poverty level, you get a better price, if you will. And then on the left-hand side, those are different insurers, such as Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aviva. So it's how many patients fall into those categories.
So out of your business, 52% are blue card over Cooper Green?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
How many patients, total patients?
I'm going to show you that. It's 6234 as of January. It is coming up.
And we're only paying for 3,500 something?
Yes, sir. Okay.
So 3,370 million. Yeah, somewhere, yeah.
Okay, these are our visits, so where people are actually using our services. That orange one, the largest section there, are our specialty care services. We have 17 different specialties, so that's covering all those different services lumped together. And then that maroon color is our primary care. So those are our two biggest service lines. The brown one, interestingly, is not a clinical service, it's our enrollment department. But we like to put that on there just so we have a moving target of how many people are still coming in for enrollment, how many people we're getting in the door to enroll.
The brown represents enrollees?
That's the people who are coming in to enroll. So we actually book appointments for enrollees to come in and do their enrollment.
What percentage of the applicants are acceptable?
All of them.
Oh.
Even if they do not fall in one of the subsidized plans, we still will enroll them in what we call a prompt pay. We still want to see them. We still give them access to urgent care, primary care. It would just mean if they couldn't produce something that we needed to see, such as household income or social security number, we would still enroll them again in that prompt pay category. The difference is they can't be seen outside our walls. So if they had to go to UAB for something, we're not going to pick up that tab. But we still want to take care of you inside Cooper Green.
Are all of these patients residents of Jefferson County?
Yes.
Well, they used to have.
So just to understand the enrollment versus, what you said, the orange one was, I can't read it.
Specialty services.
So they could be, based on these numbers, they could be enrolled, but then you're almost duplicating some instances.
That's true.
That they're being served.
That's true.
That's all.
Okay, the next one. This next one is our likely to recommend. The next two that I'm going to cover are key goals for us this year, the one that we're in right now, 2023. Likely to recommend, as you probably know, is what we consider the Net Promoter Score. It's the most accurate score for whether a customer or a patient in our case is satisfied, all the way around, satisfied with everything, right? And it's a big leap to get somebody to say, yes, I enjoyed the care, versus I would tell somebody to come get care here. So we're going for that likely to recommend score as our primary goal because it's so all-encompassing. Our goal is 90% for this year. You can see we're about at 81 right now, and we think that's doable. So we're shooting for that goal this year, and that will be at the end of October. That's not right, the end of September, the 1st of October. Okay, the next one are our enrollees. And you can see how the enrollee line here has been trending down. There's several reasons for that. On the right-hand side, actually at the bottom of that, I've put some of those impacts. One thing we're doing now is every enrollee that comes in the door, we are assessing for insurance. So we're looking at healthcare.gov, which if you're keeping up with the healthcare.gov has actually decreased this year. It's gotten harder to find insurance there. But we are looking on healthcare.gov to see if there's a low-cost there that they might qualify for. We're also checking their Medicaid and helping them enroll with Medicaid if they are eligible for Medicaid. You'd be surprised how many people do not realize those are options. So we help them do that first. So many of the people we're able to find insurance for. Now, sometimes they don't stay with us. So when we get them insurance, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But it has definitely impacted our enrollment when they choose to go elsewhere. We still feel like it's the right thing to do and that we're still taking care of people in that way. It's a little bit different. The other thing that's happened most recently is we've transitioned our pain management services to a third party. We had a provider there who was providing pain management services who was at retirement age, and we didn't feel like it was a service we would be able to source and maintain. The regulations on pain medications have become so tight over the years, that's a very difficult service to manage. So as we have transitioned those patients out, we actually expected to lose about 500 patients who were really accessing pain management but not as engaged as we'd like them to be in primary care. It turns out that we've hit around 200, close to 200 that we don't expect to come back after they've been transferred out for pain management. And the last factor that we think is heavily impacting that is the primary care staffing. This is a problem everywhere. It's not just Cooper Green, but our primary staffing has taken a huge hit in the last 18 months, and we are recruiting, bringing in more people. We've got 2 new ones on right now and 2 more to come. But when you don't have primary care staffing, the wait times are long. So we do think that, when you're waiting on 45 days to get an appointment, that has impacted our enrollment.
What is Uber Health?
Uber Health is a contract with Uber, a lower cost contract than what you would go online and request an Uber rate for to get people to healthcare appointments. So it's one of our contracts that we're looking into to basically help people get to Cooper Green to their appointment to reduce our no-shows and obviously stay in there, keep them in the loop for their preventative services. Okay, the other thing under this strategic priority is team-based care. We start a pilot March 1st with one of our primary care providers. We think this is going to be a huge improvement, if you will, to the way we do primary care. It's not a new concept. It's just one we're getting on board with. It means when you come into the building, you're not just assigned a primary care provider, but a full team around you, such as behavioral services, an enrollment clerk, a registration person, social worker, a clinical pharmacist, so you know your full team, and they can help provide that care as opposed to it all landing on the provider's shoulders.
Blood pressure cuffs and DME, what is DME?
That's durable medical equipment. We brought durable medical equipment, some of those items in-house last year that were hard for our patients to source outside. They basically have to say they were getting out of surgery and they were told to go get crutches. They would have to go to a third-party vendor and buy those crutches themselves, right? Or in rehab, it was identified they need a walker, for example. They'd have to go find somebody, and that's very expensive. Well, we can get it at a wholesale rate and get it a little bit cheaper. So we have started sourcing some of those things that we use routinely. Blood pressure cuffs is one we just recently added at the request of our providers, because our patients will come in when we've asked them to log their blood pressure so we can get some insight on their health care, and they're not able to do that without the tools. So,
Okay, thank you.
Well, we appreciate you.
thank you.
Thank you
Are
very
we done?
much.
Are we done?
If you have time for it, Commissioner Stevens, we do have a picture of the new building site.
Yeah, we got time. Sure.
Go ahead and click over to that, if you don't mind. It's the next one. There you go. So this is what it looked like last week. Lots of mud. And I'm sure their wives and husbands are not happy with their muddy boots, but on this left-hand side are just some of the latest updates that we have worked on. For example, we have identified a furniture vendor through the bid process, which is Business Interiors, a local company. We're doing a lot of work with them right now on what we need, just defining what's needed in each room, and they're going back to price those items. And then, of course, a lot of the prices are coming in. We've got a guaranteed maximum price now. We've got a cash flow analysis. We've started paying the interest payments on the bonds. So a lot of that has, started and is off and running. And then most exciting for us, I think, because it's visual, is we did get to see the 3D walkthrough last week of the interior of the building. So not the whole building, but an idea for materials and colors that are being proposed. So that was exciting.
How many stories are going to be?
5.
5 stories.
Yes, sir.
How many parking places in that?
I want to answer that.
I know UAB was very happy when I talked to them last week, but I can't wait to be able to use that for our basketball.
I'm sure.
You think?
Better than the
Well, I
other.
know that in the master agreement, there was a certain amount allocated to the Cooper unit, so. I don't remember what that number is either. I don't remember what I had to write check today.
I think for Cooper Green specifically, it was around 300.
Yeah.
And they've got 2 entrances planned for it, so there's a Cooper Green entrance and then a UAB one as well. Any questions?
Are you going to have an entrance to where somebody can come if they're being brought in an ambulance?
We
I know
have
that we're not going to be a trouble one or anything like that.
Right. We have a place designated for ambulance to come pick up, because we do transfer via ambulance, routinely. And it's actually in the back of the building underneath the first level of the parking deck.
And how many beds will we have?
We won't have beds. We'll be able to do procedures. We have some procedure rooms. And I think we have 3 procedure rooms that can be used for all the specialists to do procedures, but they're not beds.
They're not considered beds.
No, they're not considered beds.
So do y'all have, I know we're no overnight patients will be there, but they will have like procedure rooms for them to, what you call it, 1-day procedure?
Well, think of it more like an in-clinic procedure, like you might do a scope in ENT, right? Colposcopies for the Women's Health Clinic. So there's a little bit of recovery time when you're involved in those, but not quite as much as you would think of a same-day surgery center.
So it'd be somewhere for them to stay an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I knew it was a clinic, just commissioner, right? I ain't with you.
Well, they may have been over there, you can go in there.
No, you'll be over there before I do.
Right about that.
I can assure you.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you.
I tell you, it's, we really come a long way with this. Laura, appreciate your efforts, Maggie, too, and Sheila for serving on that healthcare authority. That's come a long way since you and I got here at Hammond Gym.
Long way.
Okay, that's the end of the presentation. I have some items from the attorney.
Move items 1 and 2.
Second.
The first and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And something from the sheriff's department.
Those two on the clock.
Could you come up and tell them about the education move, for the inmates? One, who will be talking about?
Not me. I did not know about that one. I do have information about what we talked about earlier about the cameras. They will be purchased, not leased. They will become ours. This would be the purchase price for them. The only ongoing expense would be for internet and for power for the cameras. That would be covered out of our budget. And as far as maintenance, or one of them gets destroyed, we don't really know. We hide them pretty well. And so far, I mean, not enough of what's happened so far, anything that needs maintenance, that's taken care of out of our budget. Now, if a whole bunch of them were getting knocked out at one time, I don't know what would happen. But as far as the individual ones, we just replace them as they wear out, but we haven't had many of them wear out yet.
That's the best case scenario.
Right.
It's good report, man.
Right. So that shouldn't be a major problem. As far as the education services, the main thing I know is we're trying to ratchet up the education services we provide to those in jail. We've got a GED plan in there now. This is just basically a renewal of a previous contract that we had for providing education services in jail.
Do we have any metrics on that program?
If we do, I don't know what they are.
Do we have a
I know that we do have, for instance, last year we had about 20 people. We had about 20 people last year get their GED at the jail. And that's about average. We get about 20 people here that get their GED and while they're with us.
By the way,
That's right.
Which is a good thing, so hopefully they're being rehabilitated.
Some of them have a long way.
How many county prisoners do we have?
Right now, we have about 1,200. We have about 950 in Birmingham jail, about 250 in the Jefferson jail.
All right, 952. And with those, most of those are awaiting trial?
Most of those are awaiting trial. Many of them are awaiting competency services at Taylor Hart. We have actually a pilot program that we've entered into with the University of Alabama to provide some of those. I have a meeting actually tomorrow with the University of Alabama folks where we're working towards competency restoration services to be performed at our jail. It's a pilot program. It's never been done anywhere in the state before, but the University of Alabama believes they can do it. It's the same people that provide these services at Taylor Hart, and they would just come to the jail to provide them. We believe that will reduce the amount of time these folks take to get to trial. Because we have one inmate who's been waiting a bed at Taylor Hart for 4 years. There are people that, and the typical wait is 2.5 to 3 years. So a lot of those folks are waiting competency restoration services, but the great majority of them are simply waiting trial. We have reduced, the state has done really well getting our folks. We never have more than 50 people that belong to the state at any one time. These days, it's right, the last time I checked it was 27. And they're coming in and taking 10, 15, 20 inmates every week to the state DFC. So during COVID, that got really, really bad, as y'all know. It's going really well now.
good. What's your capacity at the Birmingham?
Best Birmingham is 1,200. So we've got plenty of room for what we have right now.
The state's let the folks out, so. Into those.
And capacity at Bessemer is a little over 300, and we've typically been running 250 there, so we've got enough room right now for the people we have. Now, jail, as y'all know, is not in great shape, but it's big enough.
Can I get a motion on this item?
So,
Second.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have two grants and
Items 1 and 2.
that's,
Okay, can I Would anyone like to join in the instruction that I make on signs and,
I've already done mine.
right? Then first and second, all in favor, say aye. Thank you.
Administrative Reconstruction Committee, we have roads and transportation. You want to do it? You want me to?
I'll move items 1 through 11.
All right, that's,
Second.
and what about the right of ways, 3 right?
And to include the right-of-way tonight.
So we'll make that, you get 3,
1 through 14?
1 through 14. Millie, you got that?
Yes, sir. Can I ask a question?
Sure. You have a motion?
Is it first?
And they will second? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, now, quick.
Okay, the ramps, on and off ramps, the county in charge of that.
So the ramps on and off the interstate, 1,500 feet near the direction with denied access, that's all done.
Okay. So, with that repair, clean up, who do we talk to about that?
I'll get on there right away.
So we could call,
The Georges.
We can put you on
report, like to
contact.
report something.
Yeah, that would be the maintenance division, we can get you those numbers.
Okay, I need those numbers. Like, bang.
Okay. Thank you. A motion been made and second, all in favor, say aye.
I do have a question on roads and trains.
Okay.
If we had a EDAA conference this past week, got to talk with a state representative from Ottawa County, and they were very, very appreciative of the work and the workers coming down. I wanted to see if Heather might give us an update on where the work on the tornado cleanup is with Ottawa.
Certainly, so we sent 6 trucks, some brush trucks, several other pieces of equipment down to assist them. We have cleaned up 3 separate areas, removed a little over 6,000 tons of debris, and are continuing to assist them. So we're getting fairly close to what they needed us to do.
They keep feeding our guys and gals, they might not come back.
That's what the state representative said. He was like, they fed like 80 folks, and our folks were there. They came and got something to eat, and they were gone as soon as they got there because they know they had work to do. So
I got a photograph from the commissioner down there, who's the now president of ACCA, and it shows our troops arriving with the trucks and everything, and it shows them out there. And you're right, they're very appreciative. And, you know, it's like I told him, so they know how it feels to need help in these situations, so they're very helpful. And I see where we got an MOU with Dallas County, because I think we checked with them, with the EMA, are we going to do something there? Or?
No, we don't, they've not asked for anything.
They are.
Y'all just asked to be ready if something comes up, so this is, nothing is imminent. I think they got a little help.
Okay.
We need, I know I got the meeting in November Wednesday,
Yeah, I do that.
and they're going to talk to me tomorrow. They're our commissioners down there.
Anything else? Yeah, well, no, I was moving on. It's already been voted on. He just had a question on the road. County attorney, minutes from the,
Can we carry the vote?
we did carry the minutes.
I move the item.
All in favor, say aye. County manager.
Yes, sir, the first item is, as discussed, mutual aid agreement with Dallas County. So that if they do ask, we'll have that paperwork in place with EMA and with you all. The next 2 items are the mental health program y'all previously approved for ARPA funds, and then you have 6 substance abuse program grants where you already approved and funded. They went through the program, made applications, and these are the ones that met the criteria that you all set. And I believe Justin has sent you a detailed packet of exactly who all submitted, who didn't meet the criteria, who met it, so on and so forth. So if you have any detailed questions. we can ask them. And then the last one is housing revisitation. This is a procedural matter. Since we're the group ourselves receiving the funds, we just need a resolution from y'all's end. We are giving the funds to this county department. All the other ARPA have been contracts with other entities. So we don't have a contract, but we do need a resolution for the file.
Move by motion 10.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
I do have a question on these, on a lot of these, what we're doing is funding 31 full-time positions, 21 part-time positions for 1 year. Then what?
Then they'll phase out, and that's been made very clear.
Okay, we have District 3 other business, that's a community grant from Macro High School baseball, $5,000. And then the last one is going to be a community grant for the Hoover City School Foundation for $10,000. Now I'll hold number 2 and we'll.
I'll move on to 3.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
We'll do that at the end, Jim.
No, we can. I
Let's do it at the end, or else there won't be anybody left in here to hear my report.
All right, we can hold that until the last.
Mine won't be long.
All right, that ends my report, save the 772 hearing.
Yeah.
And Joe, go ahead.
All right. Finance, items 1 through 5, do I have a motion?
Move it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Have a budget agenda item, and then we have the multi-staff development. Do I have a motion for that?
For that,
Motion.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Did we not take care of that dishwasher early?
We've been
We're just now doing that
about $7 million.
We've been talking about that for 3 years. That's exactly right, Commissioner. We've been struggling with it for 3 years.
And we've got it, said the hell with it, we're buying a new.
And it wasn't good, so
We tried to fix that old 50 ways to Sunday, we couldn't do it, so we're buying a new.
yeah, it wasn't
All
good,
right.
I got it from, wasn't good.
Developmental services, do y'all have any questions on 1 through 4 on the zonings? Have a motion? Second. And a second. All in favor, please say aye. Thank you, Michael, good report. General services, we have Alabama Power doing the LED lighting exchange at North Smithfield. Do I have a motion?
Go with.
Motion, second. All in favor, please say aye. I've got 2 grants online, 1 and 2.
Move them.
second.
Motion and a second, all in favor, please say aye. And that grant on the second one is clock. So that concludes my report.
All right, first item is Movis tax abatement. Movis is located in Jeff Met McCullough. We did an agreement with them in 21, I believe. They have a secondary contract now with Mercedes, and so they are expanding, and instead of just doing an amendment to the original contract, too much time had passed, and so this would be an additional, just the sales and use tax and ad valorem on their new equipment, which will be about $4.5 million. They will add 18 new jobs. The jobs will not fall under our job incentive, just sales and use tax and ad valorem on the equipment.
What will that sales and use tax abatement be over time?
I don't have that right. I can get it to you by tomorrow or later today.
What you said, how much it is?
They're spending $4.5 million, and I don't have the what BBA produced to show the numbers, but I can share that with each of you.
10 years?
No, it'll just be for 3 years.
It's a tax abatement a while during construction phase.
During construction, then you have more on that for a period of years. Just while, and it's just on the equipment.
Non-educational.
Right. Non-educational level one. And then the sales and use, which is the non-educational on the sales tax only.
I move 1 and 2.
All right.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All All right. And I have one item for IT. Shree, are you on?
I moved it.
Oh, you did?
We passed it.
Oh, well, that was 1 and 1, my bad. The second one, or for unanimous consent, is an item that was brought to me from the folks that are running the police and fire games. They have had conversations with CBD. This is coming up quickly, and it's something that, just for consideration, they want to submit for the transplant games, and this is the Transplant Games of America. You can see on there where it's been San Diego and the Meadowlands in New York, Salt Lake City, Cleveland. It brings 3,000 to 4,000 athletes with over 20 competitions. The lift on this one is not like the World Games. It's not a heavy lift, but it brings folks that have either had transplants or been a donor, and they are coming to participate in games. And it's more about them coming together, but it's also PR, which UAB should be very supportive of, as well as some of our other medical folks. The ask is for the county to support at $300,000. An ask will be made of the city and of CVB coming down. They want to be able to promote Birmingham as a location, but they'd like a commitment before moving forward.
For $300,000.
Yes. And I don't have the numbers on the impact, because we don't have that fully yet. But I think the overall to run the games, I think, is $2 million, as opposed to World Games or even police and fire.
Would you be comfortable with approving this contingent upon just based on Birmingham?
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't expect it without it, and not knowing 100% what the ask will be, or getting the cart before the horse. If everybody's good with this, we could do it. I'd like to do the resolution for us to support contingent on CBB and City of Birmingham participants.
That's right.
It's a, about $300,000 for this. We got to give to the firemen.
That's already, yeah, that's a
Give
multi-year
to them,
agreement.
and we give to them football and all that. So,
And they all serve the same purpose. They bring people in to Jefferson County to spend money, and it gives us tax dollars in which to do what we do.
right, but when we ask for money for the classic, we can't get a dime. Now, that's all I'm saying. Do the same thing. They bringing in more money than all these put together. But, I'm gonna say that for another day, because I got something for lunch. I got a lunch date today.
Okay.
I'll get you Thursday.
And there will be more information. This is just an initial commitment, and if they don't,
So what's the funding source?
This is a good question. They could, I guess we could look at the economic development fund for that.
You need answers to that.
At least by Thursday. I think they want to submit by Friday, and they want to have the commitments by Friday so they can submit.
Now, have they landed the games here? That's for sure.
No.
Okay,
This is the CBB and DJ Makovitz and DJ was the one that was contacted about being one of the players and being able to submit. So this would just be to support the submission. If we get the submission and we win the games, then we would have to follow through with that.
It's almost like
and what the $300,000 going to? What?
To help support bringing the game.
Support like what?
Probably to staff it up, and I don't know if normally there's a submission fee for.
Probably an incentive package to bring it.
Well, and then CBP normally pays that up front, and then this would be to probably run the games, bring them here, make sure that, just like for the World Games, World Police and Fire, making sure the hotels coordinating for events and venues, because this is a it's a multi-day event, multi-sport event.
And you don't know the rep, let me tell you this. I'm gonna bring a packet up here for the classic. I got to. There's no way I cannot.
We're working on that.
I'm working on it too. There's no way I
Since
cannot not.
What I'm saying,
With all of this stuff, you keep bringing this stuff up here. It's a slap in the face to the citizens of Jefferson County to keep funding this stuff that don't bring in nowhere close to the revenue that the classic bring in. And I'm all for organ donors and all of that. I'm for all of it. But what I'm saying, if you're going to do this, it's no reason. It's no reason, but one reason why you would not fund the classic at the same capacity. Give them what you're going to give them. You ain't got to give them what we give them. What $300,000 give to the class. I accept that.
Well, Commissioner, I was going to say that there's some discussions that are being had, and I think universal support is probably on this way. So
This is, and I can have, CDD needs to run economic impact on this, but with this number of athletes compared to what they're anticipating for World Police and Fire, based on everybody has to have a room night that's coming participating. There's no athlete village where they go and stay for free. This is all where they come, they pay their way, they're eating in the restaurants, they're not given food. So,
but I think that if I'm hearing it correctly, I agree. It sounds like you all are developing an incentive package so that we can be able to get these games. And so right now the money won't move.
Right.
But what we're really speaking to, it appears as though intent. And so if it's about intent, then you should be able to get whatever that's necessary. But I do want to say, as we move forward, we were given this committee, not that we asked for it, HBCU, but I will tell you that there are some things that are on the horizon, and I think that Jefferson County is moving in a space that we're able to support a lot of programming that we probably couldn't even afford to do in the past, but that we are able to look at it in a different way now. And so I understand, and it appears as though you're going to have this information, you said, by Thursday?
I'll get as much as I possibly can. He sent me this yesterday. We just had this conversation the other day, and that he's been working with John Oros.
Is this kind of supplemental to what we already have contributed to in terms of police and fire?
No.
Okay, so this is something totally different.
Yeah,
right.
DJ he's the CEO for the World Police and Fire Games.
Okay.
But as he being an event guy for
Right.
many years,
Right.
This guy contacted him and said, "You guys did this with World Games. I think you guys might be a good place fit for it."
I'll move it to the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was about to say, with you bringing the information forward.
And I will do the resolution
Okay.
with it pending, and hopefully impact. All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And this also is to help design that people will go register to be
And there, yeah, between UAB, Southern Research, and there's value here that I'm not articulating very well, but I may have DJ come on Thursday and help relay some All right, that's fine.
All right. We'll go back to item number 2, the BJCC Open Air Theater Venue. This is to set a public hearing at 772 hearing for approval of resolution authorizing to enter this funding agreement with the BJCC for the purpose of an open air amphitheater. Two areas here. One is the $5 million pledge that everyone has done up to now. City of Birmingham, BJCC, Visitors Convention Bureau have all decided, have all added to it. Live Nation. The funding will come from the Economic Development Fund. And tied to that is a use of our credit up to $10 million for the guarantee of the payments of these. Now, the payments will be made from the pilots that are generated from the business and from the hotels on site there at the BJCC. If there is any shortfall within a year, Birmingham and the city would pay that, and it would be returned from future revenues paid for from the operations of the amphitheater through the BJCC. So there's really, what they're doing, the BJCC has utilized $330 million worth of their credit rating, and they cannot go back to the market this quickly. And what they're doing now, we are the backstop for that.
Us and Birmingham.
Us and Birmingham. Commissioner Knight was in those meetings and very keenly negotiated the difference between the city of Birmingham and Jefferson County on that, and I appreciate his participation. Did I leave anything out, Jim?
Can you expound on that a little bit more, just from my understanding? So, when you say 10 million, what is the part of the city? What is the part of the county?
There's $30 million guaranteed, $20 million for the city of Birmingham, $10 million for Jefferson County. That's the backstop.
Okay.
The funding, the coverage ratio. You're familiar with coverage ratio.
Mm-hmm.
Coverage ratio on the debt is over 1-to-1 now. So the anticipated revenue should always be able to cover that. But should we come into any shortfall, and the coverage ratio was not there, if we were $200,000 short or $300,000 short 1 year, Birmingham would pick up 200, we would pick up 100. And that money would be returned to us from future revenues.
So are we talking about 30 million total between county and city partnership, and is that on construction? Like the building?
That is on the debt service. On the
Okay,
debt.
so this is for the bond.
It's all for the bond, for the
Construction though, right?
All we're talking about here is nothing to do with operation, nothing to do with. This is just the construction of the amphitheater itself.
Mm-hmm.
And our responsibility related to that.
So let me ask this question. What is the total amount of this project?
$50 million.
All right, so it's $50 million. And let me ask this question. Is this totally considered a public project at this point? No, is it public and private, or is it public?
It's
private because you have to deal with the Live Nation.
Yeah.
That's the reason that we have to have the 772, because you have a component of a private entity as a Live Nation.
So
all right, now I differ with our county attorney on that. Okay? But we're doing the 772 project on his advice. Our deal, we have nothing to do with Live Nation. Okay? What our deal is with the BJCC, City of Birmingham, and what we're doing, we're funding the brick and mortar of an amphitheater. Mm-hmm. And after that brick and mortar is built, the BJCC is proposing the contract with Live Nation for the operation of that. And out of abundance of caution, the county attorney has suggested that we do that. Now, when I related back to the county attorney, I said that's no different than the Sheraton or the Westin. They would contract with someone for that, they contract with someone for that too. So that is a deal between them. So we're going to do the 772, everything's going to be above board. But I don't feel that we have any dog in our hunt with live measure.
Well, they are putting 5 million into the financing of it, so I guess that's.
So here's my other question too, on the infrastructure around that, the proposed development. Is there going to be any kind of partnership with either the city and Alabama Power to be able to provide lighting and which we definitely need to either widen that road, there just need to be some road construction and all of that being put
That's
together.
part of it, and the rehab of the parking decks, for parking up there. Everything is ongoing, and they're running concurrently with the private part of that partnership too. But all that we're concerned with, all the public dollars, county dollars, are centered around the amphitheater and the construction.
I understand that. So what about the community up there? Are they going to do any work?
Well, I tell you what, just vote against it and see what happens to the community. They won't anything out of it.
Let me tell you this now. Now, you can vote the way you want to vote the way, but I can ask questions.
And I'm answering this question.
I'm not finished. I'm answering them again, because I got some more. I got some more. So, like I asked about the condition of that community, and I can call out, I know the 4 neighborhoods that's behind, and I represent that area. What are they going to do about the condition of the streetscaping along with the house? Listen, we just did a tour up there. When was that, Mike? Friday. I would be scared to get out of my car if I went to a concert.
The way it looks right now.
Where is it guaranteed that they're going to fix that area? Where is the guarantee?
I can't give you a guarantee on anything except what's happening between the Jefferson County Commission and their contributions to building the amphitheater. Now, the rest of the rehabilitation for that, you're going to have to look at the city of Birmingham, you're going to have to look at the private partner there. Because our responsibility is to build the amphitheater and to have that as a key point of this entire project. Now, the entire project, to my understanding, they're building a 50,000 square foot supermarket there. They're going to have public housing. There's a medical facility there. There's retail store there. They're rehabilitating the entire project, but that's not our responsibility to do. Our responsibility is solely based on the amphitheater and to making sure that it gets there, so there is a focal point so the rest of this can get done by the city of Birmingham, the rehabilitation done for the community revitalization, and the STAR project, which is the key to that.
So my responsibility as a commissioner, that is part of my district, is to be concerned about the citizens of it. I represent them. And if I'm at the table, I should ask questions about the condition of that community. President
I hope I
Jimmy Stevens. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because it's like you got a problem with me asking, and I don't like that.
What I think he's saying is it's not, I appreciate you wanting me to ask the questions, but I don't think it's pertinent to what we're being asked to consider.
It is there, and we're going to get it money. It is. It is. It's there. It's their taxpayers' dollars right here. This ain't none of ours. they pay the taxes. We the reason $5 million is coming because of the taxpayer and the people up there pay taxes. So it is my responsibility to ask this.
I'm not saying not ask, I'm just saying that I don't think that's a part of this, that's not a part of this agreement. I think that's a separate conversation that needs to be had with the city of Birmingham, what he's already said, the city of Birmingham and the developer.
Well, then why are we representing Birmingham as the Jefferson County Commission if we shouldn't be concerned about the people in our district that's a part of Birmingham?
I don't know that we're representing Birmingham.
And I represent 68% of Birmingham because 68% of it is in my district.
And what's before us today is the funding proposal for the amphitheater. It has nothing to do with the rehab of the streets around it, or Caraway Boulevard, nor the Star Project. This is to handle directly and only our participation in funding of the amphitheater. So there we are.
Let me ask this, Mr. President. Since we are looking solely at our participation into the construction or building of this amphitheater, I didn't see it in anything in the backup. My only ask would be about minority participation. I believe that the community definitely needs to be developed around it. I feel the same way as it relates to Legion Field, if that be the case. Because I do have a portion of the other part of it where all of this is going. So my ask, and then I have two asks. One is in terms of the amphitheater, does the Civic Center currently own that particular piece of property? So are we purchasing it from, I won't say the company, but are we purchasing that property through this agreement, not just our agreement, but I'm talking about holistically? Will that entity be bought out? Is that the intent?
The BJCC is going to enter into a funding agreement if it passes the board next Wednesday to purchase that property where the amphitheater exists. Now, there's so many things that still haven't come to fruition to make this a complete project yet. But there's about 6 steps, and we're number 4 in the 6 steps. And if indeed this goes through to an affirmative action, the county commission, you go back to step 5 and step 6. Step 5 has to deal with the operation agreement with the Live Nation, and then number 6 has to deal with the agreement with Robert Simon. And then when those are done, it's available to go to the market for funding and finance. So at that point, right now, all that this county commission is doing is saying if all of this comes to fruition, that we will proceed. If at any point in that something doesn't come right, we have no obligation and no money.
Since we're talking about going to the bond market, will this have any impact at all in terms of our current?
No.
You're saying that one has nothing to do with the other. So my last ask, if it's not Mr. County Attorney in it, I would ask respectfully of this commission that there is a clause that requires that there is some minority participation in this project. I'm not saying, well, hold on, I'm not saying to the amount, and I don't know if you put historically underutilized business enterprise. What I am saying is that you're using public dollars, and from things that I've heard from previous engagements as relates to the stadium, that there was very little historically underutilized business enterprise participation. What I am asking, Mr. President, we can't we can't tell the city of Birmingham what to do with this dollars, but I would hope that we would be intentional about making sure that we have women-owned, black-owned, those with disabilities that own companies, that we are bringing all those folk to the table if there is a possibility that their services can be utilized, that whether it be through construction, legal, whatever aspects that is, because, you know, I get it, Live Nation puts up the money, therefore, any promoter that comes to do any event, they got to get clearance through them. It's just no different than what they're doing with the amphitheater and Tuscaloosa, so I get it. But I would like to have some sort of commitment from us that we would be diverse in our ask, being that we are willing to step up by way of $10 million and to also help to float bonds in the event that there's a shortage. That if we could, that we have, that needs to be on the table, Mr. President.
I understand. Now, really, the only money that we have that we're spending, if indeed this comes through, is the $5 million. The $10 million that is backstopping this, in all probability, that will never be engaged in somehow. That just helps with the financing. Now, I can, having sat on the BJCC board, I am fully aware that they seek minority participation. And that is part of their mission statement and what they do. And they will, I see no difference in this than the previous projects that they've done. And they will work hard to make sure that minority participation is indeed a vital part of this project.
So, Mr. President, then I'll close on this. I know the entity that typically, and I'm very cautious when we putting names out there, of the nonprofit entity that supposedly is the go-to for Birmingham and for everyone. But I want to be clear from past rapport with BJCC that that entity does not help to employ a reasonable amount of participation with these public projects. And I'm talking about for the stadium, and I'm saying even for this. And so I wanted to be on the record my concern as it relates to that particular entity. And as a matter of fact, let me just go on the record and say, if the BJCC engages BCRI, BCIA, Birmingham Construction Industry Authority, I would want them to come and give us some type of report of who they have included and at what level. Because that has not been, as a former council member, what I have experienced as chair of economic development. We just need some
If indeed this comes to fruition and construction actually begins, I'll make that request specifically.
Because that can only come through the BJCC.
We have no say so.
So what she's asking that them to do.
No, I'm actually talking about for our $5 million input.
But he represents us on the board. Okay.
I get it, but we talking about as a commission, but we're doing the $5 million. I'm being diplomatic. What I'm saying is the $5 million that we do, I want to have some commitment from this commission that out of the $5 million that we do, right? I'm really trying not to go there with it, but I would like for us to commit to there being some for real participation in the $5 million that we do, because that has not, Mr. President, been the spirit of what has happened in the past. Has been very little financial participation. You get what I'm saying?
I'm going to move the item as we have it here.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passed. Thank you.
Mr. President, I
will try to have these answers for you Thursday.
Please.
And we'll make sure, because I understand. All right, we're adjourned.